The harvests are rotting in the fields. It is the middle of summer, and people are freezing to death. This is not a famine caused by war, not by plague, not by misrule or drought or flood. This is something no one in recorded history has ever experienced, a year in which summer simply does not come. Crops fail from New England to China. Riots consume European cities. Families abandon everything and flee west, not knowing that what they are fleeing is the entire sky. How does a single volcanic eruption on an island most Europeans have never heard of nearly collapse Western civilization? And by the end of this video, you'll understand why the worst year in modern human history also gave the world some of its most enduring art, science, and myth. This is the story of 1816, the year without a summer. To understand what 1816 felt like, you have to understand what came before it. Europe in 1815 was a continent exhaling. 23 years of near-continuous warfare. The French Revolutionary Wars, then Napoleon's campaigns, had burned across the continent from Lisbon to Moscow, from Cairo to Amsterdam. Millions were dead, economies were shattered, and then, in June of 1815, it ended. Napoleon met Wellington at Waterloo and lost. The great convulsion of European civilization finally, mercifully, stopped. The mood in the winter of 1815 was cautious optimism. Farmers who had watched their sons march off to die in Spain and Russia were looking at their fields again. Merchants were reopening trade routes. Governments were rebuilding. The worst, everyone agreed, was behind them. Underneath all of this, invisible and irrelevant to anyone in Europe, was a mountain in the Dutch East Indies, on the island of Sumbawa, a place so remote it did not appear on most Western maps. The mountain was called Tambora. It had been rumbling for 3 years, quietly, steadily, in a way that the local population had long since learned to ignore. No one was paying attention. No one had any reason to. Everything was about to change, and no one saw it coming. On the evening of April 5th, 1815, Tambora detonates. The sound is heard over 1,000 miles away. Ships at sea think they are under cannon fire. Colonial governors send soldiers to investigate attacks that are not happening. The explosion registers as the loudest sound in recorded human history, a title it may still hold. But this is only the warning shot. On April 10th, Tambora erupts in full. It is not an eruption in the way we casually use that word. It is an annihilation. The top of the mountain, a full 4,000 feet of solid rock, simply ceases to exist. Pyroclastic flows race down the slopes at hurricane speed, incinerating everything within miles. 12,000 people die in the first hours. Ash falls so thick on neighboring islands that rooftops collapse under the weight. The sea turns black. 71,000 people will die directly from the eruption and its immediate aftermath. But that number, staggering as it is not the number that matters. What matters is what Tambora puts into the sky. 160 million tons of sulfur dioxide, ash, and particulate matter are ejected into the stratosphere. No one in 1815 understands atmospheric chemistry. No one knows what a volcanic winter is. No one in London, Paris, or Boston is watching the Indonesian sky. No one in that moment has any idea they're about to experience it themselves. The first signs arrive slowly enough that people explain them away. The winter of 1815 to 1816 is unusually harsh across the northern hemisphere. People shrug. Winters are sometimes harsh. By March of 1816, The sulfur dioxide plume from Tambora has circled the globe in the stratosphere, scattering sunlight back into space before it can warm the Earth below. Average temperatures across the northern hemisphere drop by as much as 3 degrees Celsius. That number sounds small. It is not small. It is the difference between a harvest and a famine. April arrives in New England and Europe and does not warm. May arrives and does not warm. And then June comes. In Vermont, farmers watch in disbelief as frost kills their corn in June, in July, in August. There are snowstorms in New England in June of 1816. People wake up and see ice on their ponds in July. A farmer in Quebec records in his diary, "I have never in my life seen anything like this. I do not know what to call it except the end of something." Meanwhile, 3,000 miles away in Europe, the situation is becoming catastrophic. The continent is already weakened by war, by disrupted agriculture, by populations that have been malnourished for years. Now the rain comes and does not stop. The summer of 1816 across France, Germany, and the British Isles is cold, dark, and relentlessly wet. The grain rots in waterlogged fields. The wine harvest fails. Hay cannot dry. Livestock begin to starve, and behind them, people follow. Back in the cities, the news arrives like a thunderclap. Grain prices in Europe double, then triple. In some regions, they increase tenfold. Bread riots break out across France, Germany, and Switzerland. In the Swiss canton of Nidwalden, the government declares a state of emergency. In Ireland, already hollowed out by poverty, crop failure triggers a typhus epidemic that kills tens of thousands. But what happened next is the part most people have never heard, and it changes everything about how this story ends. In the summer of 1816, a group of writers and intellectuals are gathered at the Villa Diodati on the shores of Lake Geneva. The summer is supposed to be a holiday. It is not a holiday. The skies are purple and orange at sunset, beautiful in the way that a wound is beautiful, because Tambora's aerosols are still bending the light of the sun into colors that no living person has ever seen. Lord Byron, 28 years old, and already the most famous poet in Europe, steps outside and watches the strange sky. He goes back inside and writes a poem called Darkness. It begins with the sun extinguishing. It describes a world of famine and war, and the last survivors huddled around dying fires. He is not writing fantasy. He is describing what he sees. That same summer, trapped inside by the unceasing rain and cold, an 18-year-old named Mary Godwin accepts Byron's challenge to write a ghost story. She has a dream, she will say later, of a pale student of science, kneeling over a creature he has assembled from dead matter, horrified at what he has made. She writes it down. She will publish it 2 years later under her married name, Mary Shelley. The novel is called Frankenstein. It is, among other things, a story about what happens when the natural order is violated, when something fundamental about the world is broken and cannot be put back. She did not know she was writing about a volcano, but she was writing about what a volcano had done to her world. By the time autumn of 1816 arrives, the scale of the catastrophe is becoming impossible to ignore. Across the northern hemisphere, the death toll from famine and disease climbs toward 200,000. In New England, the agricultural failure is so complete that it triggers one of the largest internal migrations in American history. Entire communities abandon their farms and move west, into Ohio, Indiana, Illinois. The phrase, "gone to Indiana," enters the American lexicon as a shorthand for desperate flight. This migration will reshape the American Midwest. It will elect presidents. It will draw the borders of a nation. In China, the Yunnan province experiences simultaneous floods, droughts, and an unseasonable cold that destroys the rice harvest. Out of the wreckage grows a new strain of the cholera bacterium, a mutation made possible by the disrupted conditions. It will spread from India to Europe by 1817, killing tens of millions over the following decades. The great cholera pandemics of the 19th century are born in the aftermath of Tambora. Empires don't fall in a day. They fall in 1,000 small moments, each one looking almost survivable. By 1817, the skies over Europe and North America begin to clear. The volcanic aerosols settle. The sun slowly returns. The harvests of 1817 are good. The worst is over. But the world that emerges from the year without a summer is not the same world that entered it. The mass migrations it triggered permanently alter the demographic map of the United States. The famine in Europe accelerates the mechanization of agriculture. Farmers who survived 1816 are desperate for technology that can buffer them against catastrophic crop failure. The macroeconomic disruption contributes to a banking panic in 1819. The political instability feeds radical movements across Europe that will simmer for 30 years before erupting in the revolutions of 1848. And in the strange, terrible summer of that year, while the world was starving, a few people in a lakeside villa in Switzerland were turning their horror at the broken sky into literature that would last for centuries. Remember what I said at the beginning? That the worst year in modern human history also gave the world some of its most enduring art. Here is the answer to the impossible question we started with. Tambora did not just destroy, it revealed. It revealed how fragile every civilization is beneath its confidence. It revealed how thin the line between order and collapse actually is. That 3 degrees of temperature, invisible to the naked eye, can empty a continent's granaries and send families fleeing in every direction. It revealed that the greatest catastrophes in human history sometimes arrive not as armies or tyrants, but as something in the sky that no one noticed until it was too late. Mary Shelley watched the wrong-colored sunsets of 1816 and asked, what happens when a creator cannot control what they have made? The volcano had already answered the question. The sky was